Hey, so you know how everyone's talking about electric vehicles these days? There's always that one big thing people bring up when they on the fence about going electric, and it's usually either the charging time or the range. Like, yeah, I'd love to get an EV, but I don't want to sit around for an hour at a charging station every time I need a fill-up. I totally get it. That's been one of the main headaches for a lot of folks, especially here in the US where we're used to pulling into a gas station, filling up in 5 minutes, grabbing a coffee and hitting the road again. But here's the wild part. BYD, that big Chinese car company that has been making a lot of noise lately, they just announced something that could seriously change the game. I was reading about it the other day, and honestly, it's kind of mind-blowing. So BYD's CEO came out and said they're reworking on these new solid-state batteries for electric cars. And get this, they claim you'll be able to charge your car in about 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That's basically the time it takes to run into a 7-Eleven, grab a soda, and get back to your car. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, but what's a solid-state battery, and why should I care? Good questions. So most of the batteries we have right now in EVs are lithium-ion batteries. They're pretty good, but they use this liquid stuff inside that can get hot, and if something goes wrong, there's always a tiny risk of fire. That's why you sometimes hear about battery recalls or those scary videos of a car catching fire after a crash. Solid-state batteries, on the other hand, use a solid material instead of a liquid. That makes them way safer for starters, like no more worrying about your battery turning into a campfire if you get rear-ended. But the safety thing is just the beginning. The real kicker is how fast these things can charge. The way the tech works, it lets electricity move through the battery a lot more efficiently. So instead of waiting around for 30, 40, 60 minutes at a charging station, you could be ready to go in the time it takes to scroll through your Instagram feed and answer a couple of texts. Imagine road trips. You pull off the highway, hit a charger, use the bathroom, maybe grab a burger, and you're back on the road. It's almost as quick as filling up with gas, which is what a lot of people have been waiting for. And get this. BYD isn't just talking about this stuff. They're actually building a huge factory to make these batteries. They're aiming to start small-scale production in a couple of years, around 2027, and then ramp up to full-on mass production after 2030. So it's not like you'll see these batteries in every car next year, but it's coming. And once they figure out how to make them at scale, the cost should be about the same as the batteries we're using now. That's a big deal, because a lot of the time, new tech is super expensive at first, but BYD's basically saying, yeah, we think we can make this affordable for regular people. I think what really blows my mind is how this could change the way we think about EVs in general. Right now, the two big complaints are range anxiety and charging time. Range anxiety is that feeling you get when you're not sure if you will make it to the next charger before your battery runs out. Kind of like that panic when your phone is at 3% and you can find your charger. Solid-state batteries could help with that too, because they can pack more energy into the same size battery. That means longer range, so you wouldn't have to worry about running out of juice on a long drive. And because they're safer and last longer, you might not have to replace the battery as often, which is another thing people worry about. You know how your phone battery gets worse after a couple of years? Same thing happens with car batteries, just on a bigger scale. But these solid-state batteries are supposed to be more durable, so you could get a lot more years out of them before they start to wear out. Now, I should mention, BYD isn't the only company chasing this dream. There are a bunch of automakers and tech companies all over the world working on solid-state batteries. Toyota, Nissan, even some American companies. They're all in this race. But BYD's announcement is a big deal because they are already one of the biggest EV makers in the world. They actually sold more electric cars than Tesla last year, which is kind of wild when you think about it. So when they say they're going all in on solid-state batteries, people pay attention. And BYD's not just stopping at batteries. They're also working on these super fast charging platforms like they've got this thing called the Super E platform that can charge a car at 1,000 kilowatts. To put that in perspective, most of the fast chargers we have in the US right now are like 150 or maybe 350 kilowatts. So, 1,000 kilowatts is just insane. With that kind of power, you could add hundreds of miles of range in just a few minutes. It's almost like plugging your car into a fire hose instead of a garden hose. I know there are still some hurdles to get over. Building these batteries is really tricky. It is not like you can just swap out the old batteries for new ones overnight. The materials they need are more complicated, and the factories have to be super clean and precise. Plus, there's the whole supply chain thing, making sure they can get enough of the right materials at the right price. But BYD seems pretty confident they can figure it out. And with the kind of money and talent they're throwing at this, I wouldn't bet against them. And here's another interesting angle. The US government and a bunch of American companies are also investing big in battery research. There's a lot of talk about bringing battery manufacturing back to the States, especially with all the stuff going on in the world right now. So even though BYD's leading the charge, no pun intended, you can bet there's going to be a lot of competition. That's good news for us, because it means the technology will get better and cheaper, faster. Another thing I like about this is how it could help with the whole clean energy push. If charging an EV becomes as quick and easy as filling up with gas, a lot more people are going to make the switch. That means less pollution, less money going to oil companies, and more energy independence. Plus, with all the new wind and solar power coming online, it just makes sense to have cars that can take advantage of that clean electricity. And let's not forget about the fun stuff. With batteries that charge this fast and last this long, car companies can start making EVs that are even cooler. Faster acceleration, more gadgets, maybe even new designs that weren't possible before. Imagine an electric pickup that can tow a boat across the country, or a sports car that never needs to stop for gas. The possibilities are pretty exciting. So, bottom line, BYD's announcement about these all-solid-state batteries with 10-minute charging is a really big deal. It's not just some pie-in-the-sky promise. They've got the factories, the engineers, and the track record to actually pull it off. It's going to take a few years, but once these batteries hit the market, I think it's going to change the way we think about electric cars. No more waiting around at chargers, no more worrying about range, and no more battery fires. Just plug in, grab a coffee, and you're back on the road. If you're thinking about going electric, or you're just curious about where the technology's headed, keep an eye on this space. Things are moving fast, and the next few years are going to be really interesting. Who knows? The next time we're on a road trip, we might be bragging about how our cars charge faster than we can finish a cheeseburger. And honestly, I can't wait for that.